The climate of the extraordinary planet that we live on is changing. And its weather is getting warmer.
Oh my God.
Wetter.
We're now stranded here.
Right, listen to me, there's an emergency.
And wilder than ever.
What a beauty!
We've seen record-breaking hurricanes and devastating cyclones. Massive amounts of snow forming deadly avalanches. With heat waves and lightning.
Oh my God!
Creating some of the biggest wildfires ever.
Here now. There's flames.
This is the story of some of planet Earth's most extraordinary weather.
It felt like the ground was shaking. It felt like it was an earthquake.
Seen through the eyes of those that survived it.
Pit of your stomach just falls down and you're just, I'm gonna die.
Shot on phones and cameras by people who were there as it happened.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
The planet's wildest weather, as told and filmed by you. The effects of wild weather can strike without warning. And two holidaymakers, Peter Rosenfeld and Vera de Ruyter, came perilously close to disaster in the parched plains of South Australia.
So we'd covered about 2,000 miles. We stopped at one point and we saw quite an unusual sight. It seemed to be quite close, but it looked like a big black cloud. And we were excited when we saw that. We thought, this is great. We're heading in that direction and it looks like there's a storm. And we wanted to go and see a storm.
When we first arrived in Sydney, in the newspaper on the front page was a picture of Bondi Beach with a massive weather cloud coming in, which looked exactly the same as what we drove towards, a big wall of clouds.
The vast, wedge-shaped cloud formation that caught the headlines in Sydney drew crowds of people keen to photograph themselves standing in front of it. Known as a shelf cloud, it marked the leading edge of an intense line of thunderstorms that would bring a lot of welcome rain. The cloud that Peter and Vera were driving towards now looked just as intriguing.
It was mesmerizing, you know, it was sort of attracting us in a weird way. We did not have a clue what it was.
It was really spectacular. So it was the biggest Hollywood set we'd ever seen. And we just kept driving towards it. So it got very eerily calm. What's going on here? We pulled up behind a truck in this really, really odd atmosphere. And that was the first time we actually smelt smoke. And that was the first moment both of us realised, actually, it's a fire.
Peter and Vera had stumbled into a fast-moving bushfire, which was coming straight at them.
A white pickup was coming the other way, and the guy stopped and was clearly distressed, wound the window down and told us to get out of there.
Yeah. Turn around, mate, get this way. Flames out here now. There's flames. Yeah. Thank you, thank you.
Panic is not the right word, but the reality was starting to set in.
Now look at this.
And the situation was made worse when Vera's phone pipped with a text. It actually said urgent, tuned to, or whatever the frequency was, immediately for advice.
Emergency warning for a bushfire burning under catastrophic conditions. There is a risk to lives and property. People in these areas are in danger.
It said, do not get into your vehicle, it's too late.
Do not leave or enter this area in a vehicle or on foot. Radiant heat can kill you well before flames reach you.
We then drove into what can only be described as the most horrific moment of the whole experience.
How the hell are we going to get out of this?
And it became clear that it had actually caught up behind us, and all we could do was just keep on moving.
You only had one choice, and that was carry on and drive into the smoke.
Oh no, we're in serious trouble here.
Soot started to come through the air vents. We're starting to become covered in black soot.
Christ.
The temperature rose significantly, and it was very clear that we were going to hit flames any second.
What's that there?
It's fire. What fire?
I looked back and to the side to the left of us. I could see flames on the grass. It was just sort of making its way over to the roadside.
All I could see at that point was two red lights of the pickup in front of me. The car starts to rise in temperature. Black ash is coming through the air vents. We can't see anything. We're travelling at 65 miles an hour in total darkness, being told that heat is going to kill us before the flames do. And the real harsh reality then hit. This was really serious. If we were to stop, we were in serious trouble.
The car's spluttering. The ash has got into the air.
The car spluttered. It was choking. If the car had stopped, I honestly believe we wouldn't be here.
And it was light again. When it started to clear up, it was. I think I said something like, it's a new dawn. It was just like driving out of a black night and coming into daylight again. It was literally day and night. Woohoo! We made it!
That man's just saved our lives.
It was one of the largest bushfires, 45 kilometres across, so the size of London. As a footprint, the size of London moving at 40 miles an hour. Horrendous thing. I mean, a vicious thing.
The spark for the fire was found to be a car battery attached to an electric fence. But ironically, it was the rainstorm that followed the arrival of that curious shelf cloud that provided much of the fuel. It dampened the ground, which encouraged new growth, and it's that foliage, when it dried in the heat, that caught fire.
So we had a fuel load where there was a lot of bushes which sprung leaf, and then it dried up, so it became a tinderbox. The temperature rose, and the humidity dropped down to 11%. And as the wind picks up some strength, the inferno travels even faster. Bushfires are part and parcel of what happens in this region of the world, and most of the time they're controlled. It's when the weather becomes extreme, these things rage out of control.
And it's not just Australia that's feeling the burn. Southern Europe has seen a record number of wildfires break out. And in America, forest fires in California
Oh my God.
turned the sky over Disneyland orange. Is nowhere safe. The surface of the Earth is now, on average, 1 degree Celsius hotter than it was a century ago.
What we've seen is a general warming trend of the planet overall. It's building up of heat in the atmosphere and the oceans, and that's starting to have an effect on the weather patterns in different parts of the world.
And it's in the planet's urban landscapes that record temperatures are making life almost unbearable.
I genuinely had a cold shower earlier and I was hot. Doesn't even make sense. Just 33 degrees. This is London. It's not Mexico.
Look at this.
Oh,
Oh, melted tar because of the heat. That is mad.
Well, the interesting thing about cities is something called the urban heat island effect. All of the concrete and the buildings and the cement and the roads that we built in cities, they are much better at hanging on to heat than fields and trees and vegetation. And the other thing is they tend to absorb more of the energy from the sunlight in the first place.
The record-breaking heat beating down on the urban jungle can cause some to forget where they are.
What the
What's that? Put it in Glastonbury.
Or see others take extreme measures to survive a scorcher. And then there's the other end of the temperature scale, where climate change can result in a less welcome cold bath.
You're such an idiot.
Given that the world is getting warmer, you might think there'd be less ice. And you might be right. But will there be less snow as well?
Good morning. It's snowing in Spain.
More heat in the atmosphere means more energy, and that means more moisture and rain. And when it's cold enough, more snow. So, although it might not be snowing more often, the snow that does fall is likely to be heavier. And the drifts might well be deeper. Two men that experienced way too much snow recently are Tom Stockdale and Brad Wigglesworth, while they were skiing in the French Alps.
Oh. Look at that. It's deep. It's exceptionally deep. All right, let's go.
Up and it's waist deep and you can't see anything and you're hot. That's hard work.
Yeah.
Very hard work. And we stopped about halfway down, did we?
On the Stockdale scale of grimness, this rates highly.
It was just heaving with people, and there were ski schools, there were families, and we skied sort of in between them. Tom was in front of me, I watched him go through, I sort of followed, and as I just got to the little cut across, it came in. Turned me over a couple of times. Didn't really know sort of where I was going to end up. I did notice that in front of me there was probably 20 people, and when I came round from the avalanche there was maybe 6 or 7. Everyone else had disappeared. So obviously then my initial thoughts turned to, is Tom all right? I'm just concerned that he might actually be buried and potentially suffocating. And I need to find him quickly, but I couldn't see him. So then I started just shouting for him, really. Tom! Tom! Shouted again, and I saw this arm pop up through the snow. I wasn't entirely convinced that that was Tom. Tom! So I shouted again, his arm came up again, so I thought, right, he's there. Next thing, I need to go and try and dig him out. Can you get out?
I was fully underneath, but I just quickly panicked and got a quick air hole probably about there, and then get my fists out like that, get my arm out, and just spent a good couple of minutes getting a few nice breaths. I was happy that I wasn't dead and I could breathe, and then I started thinking, where's Brad? How are we going to get out of here? The whole time, all I could think about is, if another avalanche comes, I just want to get out of here.
If it hit again, then I thought we may be in trouble.
He likes to twist it. Can you get to my skis, Brad?
Brad helped get my body out, but then it was my skis were really twisted. We swore quite a lot, didn't we?
Fuck. We did.
Holy fucking Jesus. Fuck me.
Let's get in.
Let's go. I'm so scared it's going to happen again.
Let's get out.
I can't, bro. That's the one for
When I finally stood up, that was good. When I was finally out, but it was just chaos. Just chaos everywhere.
Once it had sort of finished, you then sort of reflect on what you've just been through and what you've just done, and we were just glad that we were alive, really.
Oh, that was horrendous.
I can't believe we survived, really.
We could have easily been buried then, like properly buried.
Brad and Tom were lucky to be involved in a relatively small avalanche on a gentle slope. Not all avalanches are like that. This unlucky skier survived an avalanche of his own making. At least we can see snow. Another perilous side effect of extreme cold is something quite invisible. Every year, black ice causes havoc on our roads and cycle paths.
We had an ice skating rig. Wait, don't come to the top.
And this single security camera captured 3 black ice accidents in 20 minutes.
So during the winter months, by night, when the cloud breaks up, you get the heat from the day radiating away into the upper atmosphere really rapidly, and that's when you get cooling. So all it needs is temperatures to dip below freezing, and any moisture will turn to ice. With white ice, which is actually just transparent but opaque, there's lots of bubbles trapped in it, as well as swirls. It's frozen a lot slower, so maybe a little bit deeper as well, and there could be a bit more wind as it happened. But with black ice, rapid cooling, a light breeze, and there are no bubbles trapped within the ice, so you can't see it.
And for one woman in England, black ice would bring her within millimetres of certain death.
I've not seen the footage at all. My husband watched it. He came downstairs, he was in tears, and he said, please don't watch it.
On a chilly Tuesday morning, Helen Wilson took a 10-minute drive from home to pick up her mother for a hospital appointment.
The weather wasn't too good, a bit icy, so I thought I'd come down and pick my mum up at 8:30 to give us plenty of time to get to the hospital.
The sub-zero temperatures and light rain that morning were the perfect conditions for a glaze of black ice to form, camouflaged by the tarmac.
came on this way, parked just by the bottom of the steps there. I opened the car door. As I put my legs out, it felt slippy. I got out of the car, locked the car door and started going, luckily, towards the back of the car.
With her back to the traffic, Helen couldn't see that 2 cars were heading in her direction. From inside his home on Old Road, Tony Durkin heard the crash.
It was about 8:30 and he had 2 really loud bangs. Ran out to see absolute carnage, vehicles all over the road, and Ellen laid on the floor at the side of the vehicle.
Helen thought the bang she had heard was because she shut her own car door too hard. But the noise she heard was impact.
I was very puzzled. I couldn't understand why I was further down the road. But I looked to my right and the front end of the car was missing, and it still didn't sink in what had happened.
Fearing the worst, Tony called for an ambulance.
Within minutes, the ambulance was there. That came down the road sideways as well.
Helen's car was completely written off. Remarkably, the only damage to Helen was a ripped back pocket on her jeans.
I feel very, very lucky to be here. At first, obviously, it was a bit frightening thinking about what could have happened, but it didn't, and I'm still here, so I'm really happy about that.
What people often are quite baffled about is when they look at their car thermometer in winter and they get the ice symbol, the snowflake symbol flashing up to warn them of ice when the temperature says +2 or +3, and people are thinking, well, hold on, for it to freeze, it needs to be down at freezing or below. But what people don't often realise is that the ground cools more quickly than the air just above it. And then ice can be forming even though the temperature above the ground is a little bit above, and that often catches people out.
Often, it seems, we're at our most vulnerable to the dangers of extreme weather in the most ordinary of circumstances.
So bizarre, isn't it?
Holy shit, guys, check this out.
Record-breaking rainfall has seen our urban infrastructure struggling to cope, especially when a whole month's worth of rain can fall in a single hour.
Tell your mum not to go anywhere.
That's a car. I can barely see it.
The wild weather phenomenon of flash flooding nearly cost Graham Price his life.
The weather was just crazy. The journey to work just changes so quickly and you just wouldn't believe it could happen.
On a normally dull daily commute to work, Graham was edging his car through half a foot of water that had flooded the road beneath a railway bridge when the car in front stalled. Then, with frightening speed, the dip in the road began to fill with even more water. It was a flash flood. Water began to gush into Graham's car. The same thing was happening to 2 other vehicles, but those drivers managed to get out of their cars.
I had no sense at all that I was in any danger at that point. In my car, I was dry. I went to pick up my laptop off the floor in the passenger footwell. I didn't want that to get wet. And I remember picking that up, and that was actually laying in water.
Sheltering from the rain in the station entrance was Gareth Parish.
I saw like drains overflowing with water, thunder and lightning happening all over the place, and then I just saw the road starting to fill up.
Fucking hell.
It was now that Gareth noticed Graham's car.
The water was inside the car and the car started like tipping like that.
and with that there was a couple of loud bangs in the car.
The rising water had shorted out the car's electrics.
I remember grabbing for the door handle to get out, but that was loose. There was no resistance on the door handle whatsoever.
Graham was trapped.
I looked around for something to break the window with, but there's just nothing in the car that you're going to break the window with. You realise, you know, in no time at all, I'm about to drown in my own car.
Gareth knew that if he didn't do something, he was going to watch a man drown.
I could see from inside that he was panicking. And he did like a little signal to us, like a sort of like a wave, like help.
At the entrance to the station was a loose brick in the wall.
So I literally just grabbed it and literally just, from this point I was literally leant over, I just went like that and it's smashed.
The window caved in, and I just remember climbing across to the passenger side, forcing myself out of the passenger window, and as I did so, I was actually underwater, which was just surreal.
On the other side of the road, someone took a picture of the moment Graham got out of his car. Gareth can be seen leaning over the railing.
I waded out of the water, and when I got back up onto the pavement by where the car was, 30 seconds to a minute after I got out the car, it had just sunk below the water. Hi.
You're right.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
Really well, thank you.
Yeah.
If that brick hadn't gone through the window, I wouldn't be here. And that's tough. It's only when you sort of go through that little moment again, and you realise it was. And for about a month after the incident, the brick sat there. So every morning I drove past this brick.
It's not just nightmarish flooding putting us at risk.
I think his engine stopped.
Our planet's ever more tempestuous weather can turn simple trips into the journey from hell.
Don't go for it, dare you? Crazy. No way! No fucking way! No fucking way! Crazy. He's stuck. He's stuck. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. Crazy.
Perhaps the biggest threat to modern life's need to be on the move is storm force wind. And when the wind wails, even the most dedicated employees find it difficult to set out for work.
Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh, that's not nice, that one.
Nothing else even moved. Whoa, trampoline.
What if it starts going this way?
Wow, can't believe that. Oh, fucking hell.
Oh my God, his wheel is off the ground. Oh my God.
Oh, shit.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Stop, 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 stop.
Shit.
Some travellers seem able to make wind work for them, but for others, it can prove disastrous. As climate chaos escalates, the world is being battered by ever more fearsome winds, creating conditions that can be truly terrifying. Especially when a storm force gale seems to come from nowhere. For Gareth Reynolds and his daughter Sienna, unexpected, gusting wind turned a dream Christmas ski trip into a 9-hour nightmare. The Italian resort of Cervinia lies in the shadow of the Matterhorn, one of the highest mountains in the Alps. On a gloriously sunny Christmas Eve, 12-year-old Sienna and her father were skiing down from the glacier at the top of the resort. Suddenly, strong gusts of wind forced them to take the cable car the rest of the way down the mountain.
We get on here and we start, and literally we stop now. It just stops pretty much straight away. And then we wait a couple of minutes.
It stops for 5 minutes, goes for 2.
And you just think, well, what's going on?
Yeah.
So you think, oh, we'll get home eventually. You never think that it could possibly break down. It doesn't occur to you. So then eventually it just stopped altogether.
Winds whipping over the mountains had caused the wires above the cabin to become tangled.
This is amazing.
Leaving over 130 people trapped in wildly swaying cable cars.
Over there, you literally just see the snow just coming right at you.
You think, oh no, here we go, and whack.
We just looked at each other,
Here we go
held
again.
on like, oh God, 1, 2, whoa.
Then we started getting very, very scared. The wind was so much that it was, as I say, 45 degrees, and you're holding on like this. The skis were flying around with the angle and the violence of the buffeting.
I was in absolute tears. I thought I was going to die. Honestly, I thought I was going to die.
We were getting very, very frustrated because we were sitting there so long and there was no one, but then it went dark. You can see nothing, there's nothing. And the wind was hitting you every sort of 20 to 30 seconds. And so you were just holding on. Every time it hit, you were thinking, oh my God, is this the last one? Are we going to drop? You just don't think it can carry on like this. You try and be strong for your daughter, but it was awful. I genuinely didn't know what was going to happen.
Mountainous areas often experience gusty winds as the air bounces over the mountains and kind of creates eddies the other side. So you get these sudden gusts, then a lull, a sudden gust, then a lull, and then what you can see visually sometimes is bursts of snow being blown off the top of the mountain, then it stops, and then there's nothing, and then you get another gust of wind and more snow is blown off. So you can actually have a visual element to the wind by seeing these bits of snow being blown off the side of the mountain.
Italian mountain guides Patrick Paletto and Christian Zanoli were part of the team tasked with rescuing everyone. In the dark, and by dangling from the wires above each cabin.
Are you okay?
The scariest part, I think, was as soon as we were coming inside the bubbles, we had to open the door.
Yes.
Yeah, and then with the door open, the wind comes, and then inside, so you have the bubble like, like this, and you're like seeing a crazy guy arriving, opening the door. It's like, hey, Merry Christmas. And you see people like, what's happening now?
When you cool down, it's important that you tell someone your name and family name.
But can you imagine, you've been standing there for like 8-9 hours, and then you get the guy come in, he puts the harness on you, and he goes, "Well, go on, jump off." You go, "What?" No, you know you've got to, but you don't want to, and you're like, "Okay, here we go."
I think that people realized they had no choice.
Good.
Perfect, like this. Over. Keep moving that. Pretty easy when you say like this, but then there is the dark, there is the wind, there is the cold, there is the stress. A lot of people, maybe some kids, are very scared, hungry, angry, so we had to be fast.
Gareth and Sienna were among the last to be rescued. Like the others, they reached their hotel only minutes before Christmas Day.
Buon Natale! Buon Natale!
There's no doubt that wind has lethal potential, and getting caught in its grip can leave us utterly powerless. As Scottish surfer Matthew Bryce discovered, when a rare offshore wind had him battling for his life for 32 hours.
Most days, it probably would have been fine. It was just that day it wasn't.
For Matthew, the surfing season was just beginning.
The weather was nice. It was sunny, the clouds were broken up. It wasn't as cloudy as today.
The conditions seemed ideal to get out in the water. There was an offshore wind that changes the dynamics of a wave.
The wind will hold that up and just stop it from crashing too early. And it just gives that nice kind of classic surfer's wave. You want to just give it a lolly and go for it. Like, I went in over there just by the rocks, and as I was going in, paddled past the waves, resting for a couple of minutes, and in that time the wind had carried me out 30-40 feet.
At this point, surfers would normally turn and ride the waves to shore, but Matthew had gone too far out to catch a break.
The wind was just holding me out just slightly too far to get back in to land.
The breeze picked up some strength, and it went from a gentle offshore to quite a strong southeasterly, up to 40 miles an hour.
Anyone who was on the beach at that point were just specks. You're kind of laughing to yourself thinking, you know, I'm in real trouble now. The best I could do was paddle to stay warm and try and keep my head dry. So that was the first night.
Matthew didn't often tell his parents when he was finished surfing for the day, so no one knew he was half submerged and adrift in a freezing ocean.
I can't describe the level of cold that I was, but it was just such a deep level of cold, like pervading, like straight into my body. So I've never felt anything like that.
Matthew had now been in the sea for over 12 hours.
To try and keep myself going, I was counting out 30 seconds and paddling. And then I would start to shiver again, and then I would count out 30 seconds and paddling, and I did that for 12 hours. In the cold, in the dark, alone, terrified.
He'd survived the night, but daybreak brought no respite. He was still miles from shore.
And I was falling into the water, getting back up, then falling and getting back up.
And now, His mental stability was starting to crumble.
I think I can hear a helicopter, I'm not sure. That's in the corner, I can hear the chopping. Like, you could even hear it now, but it's just the wind and waves. It's a noise that you can easily think you're hearing. I didn't see any indication of a search.
But the alarm had been raised. Work colleagues who'd expected Matthew on Monday morning rang his parents, who immediately contacted the emergency services. A full-scale operation was launched, and a Coast Guard search and rescue helicopter was deployed. But with Matthew missing for over 24 hours, the search area was vast.
Crying, screaming, and there's that moment where you just, pit of your stomach just falls down and you're just, I'm gonna die. You know, you say goodbye to your family, you say goodbye to your friends, and like, just give up. You know, you're gonna die, just let it happen. You hear a chop. And you're thinking, is that me? Am I imagining that? And you hear chop, chop, chop. And then from the sun, a helicopter shoots over my head. And at this point, I'm crying.
Matthew had been swept 13 miles out to sea, alone, adrift, and lost for 32 hours.
The winchman, he just grabbed my shoulder, just like, well done. Well done, mate. I'm gonna be okay. Family know you're safe. I'm gonna take you to the hospital.
Matthew's rescuers said they had never recovered anyone alive after so many hours adrift. His trusty board, which was recovered some time later, had saved his life.
When I initially got asked by people what I was going to do with the board, I kind of jokingly said I was going to burn it. But no, it will definitely stay close to me. Yeah.
Matthew's experience at the hands of wild weather was extreme, but as our climate changes, every single one of us will feel the effects.
Global warming is having an effect on every part of our planet. As the temperature rises, there's more energy in the atmosphere.
And that increased atmospheric energy can only mean one thing.
We can look to a future where we see more intensification of the current events.
More intense rain, more extraordinary storms.
Oh my God!
More snow, more destructive hurricanes and cyclones. And as the planet continues to warm, even more to come.